Hello and welcome to our Introduction to Cardio Kickboxing Safety and Techniques. I'm going to take you through all the hits and kicks we will be performing in the various videos, discuss proper form, and give you some safety tips along the way. Cardio kickboxing can be a very high-intensity workout if that's what you are looking for, but there are also ways to modify the class if you need a lower impact workout or are new to exercise. During each workout, I will give you low impact options as well as high intensity options, so you can modify your workout as needed. Okay, let's begin with our basic stance. This is your ready position or your fighting stance, and all movements will begin from this position. Place your feet shoulder width apart with your body facing forward and feet parallel. Keep your knees slightly bent and your body weight evenly distributed. The shoulders are placed in front of the hips and the hands are in guard position, with the elbows along the side of the body to protect your heart and rib cage. The fist should be in line with your chin and should not drop below your chin at any time. Make sure you are making a fist with your thumb on the outside. The basic stance can also be performed in a staggered position, with the body slightly angled to the side and one foot back. This can be done from a right or left lead, and we typically start class in a staggered position. Your body weight is still evenly distributed, and your knees should be slightly bent so that you don't lose your balance. Next, we have the boxer stance. This stance is basic boxing footwork. While in a basic stance position, begin to move your weight back and forth so that you have a slight bounce. Your knees should be relaxed, and your movement should exist on the balls of your feet, coming no more than 1 inch off the ground. Keep the feet shoulder width apart and do not allow your heels to come together. This move can be modified to a lower intensity move by not bringing your feet off the ground, like this. The punching bag is also done in the boxer stance position by adding the arms in. Both arms go above your head in a rotating motion as if you were hitting an imaginary punching bag. If in a right boxer stance, the right arm is the lead arm and vice versa. This move can be modified if you have trouble bringing your arms overhead. Just bring your arms to chest level and hit your imaginary punching bag from there. Now let's go into some of our hits and kicks. When performing any hit or kick, it is essential that you maintain a slight bend in the elbow or knee joint. Never fully extend your arms or your legs. This is an important safety precaution that, if followed, can prevent injury to your joints. Our first move is the jab. This punch extends from the lead position, right or left side, in the basic stance. As the arm extends out from chin level, it rotates so that the fist turns over and the palm is parallel with the floor. As it returns, the elbow and fist return together, while keeping the elbow tight along the side of the body. This is a quick motion, as are all punches and kicks. The other arm always stays up in the basic stance. Do not drop your guard. Next, we have the cross jab. The cross jab extends from the rear arm in the basic stance. As it extends outward, the arm rotates so that the palm faces the ground. When this punch is thrown, the rear foot must pivot along with the hip driving forward to protect your knee. Think of swinging a bat or a golf club. The cross jab is aimed at the opponent's nose. The power of the punch comes from the hip, and if the pivot is not performed, injury to your knee can occur. When the punch returns to the guard position, the entire body returns to the fighting stance. Again, the other arm maintains guard position. Another move we may do is called the palm heel strike. This strike is aimed at the attacker's nose. It comes from the same position as a jab. However, the head is flexed back so that the heel of the palm thrusts forward at about nose height, and then it returns to the guard position. Your hand should be flexed with the fingers tucked along the side of the hand for protection. The elbow jab strike is done at close range, as if someone is standing right behind you, pulling you in. It looks like you are nudging someone. Lift your arm up, keeping your arm bent while drawing your hand close to the center of the body. Then proceed to drive, thrust, or jab the bent arm to the side so that the elbow strikes at about the face level, and then return to the guard position. Do not swing the arm. It is a short, tight movement performed quickly. Sometimes we do this movement while bringing the same side foot out to the side, like this. A hook is performed by lifting the designated arm to shoulder height while maintaining a right angle at the elbow joint. As you lift your arm up and across, like you are sliding your arm across the top of an imaginary tabletop, the arm is parallel to the ground. It is a short punch, so there is no need to extend the arm from the elbow joint. The key to throwing this punch well is a pivot of the same side foot. As the hook comes across the shoulder line, the same side foot will pivot, causing the hip to turn with the punch. It is this pivot that gives the hook power from the hip. After throwing the hook, pull the arm straight back into your guard position. The hook should land at the side of your opponent's cheek or temple. The uppercut is aimed at the underneath side of the chin of your opponent. From your guard, circle your fists back to your shoulder and down to your hip, while turning the palm up. As you drop the hand, the torso will turn with the punch, and the shoulder will drop, causing the obliques to crunch and the legs to perform a tiny squat. From the hip, the arm will proceed upward, following the center line of the body, palm facing your chest, and stop at the chin. As the arm travels, the respective hip and foot will pivot slightly to assist in the driving power behind the punch. The arm returns to the guard position when finished. The body and the torso should be doing 80% of the movement. The arm is only involved in about 20% of the punch. Again, please pay special attention to pivoting. Pivoting with most punches is essential for protecting your knees. Anytime a punch is thrown, a pivot is required on the same side foot. This requires you to keep the ball of your foot on the ground and to turn in the direction the punch is being delivered. All punches, except the lead jab, require a pivot. The hip and shoulder will follow behind the pivot. After delivering the punch, return the foot and body back to its fighting position. And again, we are never fully extending our joints, so make sure not to lock out your elbow when you are throwing a punch. Now let's move into our kicks. We'll start with the front kick. Begin by placing the weight on the non-kicking leg while keeping your knee slightly bent. The first step requires you to lift your knee by flexing your hip. Next, extend the leg out and kick, making sure to keep the foot flexed so that contact is made with the heel of your foot. Bring the leg back into the knee lift position and then return the leg to the fighting stance. This is actually a front thrust kick, but it is the only front kick that I perform in class, so I will always refer to it as a front kick. For the back kick, we need to bend at the hips while keeping the back flat and the core tight. Lift the knee and extend the lower portion of your leg behind you while striking with the heel of your foot. As you do this, make sure to look over your shoulder as you strike and then return the leg back to the basic stance. To perform a roundhouse, you must first turn out the non-kicking foot to a 45-degree angle. By doing this, there is no torque on the knee or back. The ankle is not twisted, and the hip flexors are not overworked. Shift your weight onto the non-kicking leg while maintaining your guard and keeping your hips square. The leg must be chambered by bending the knee and bringing the heel very close to the back side of the thigh at your hamstrings. The foot needs to point as soon as it leaves the ground because as you extend the leg into the kick, you will kick with the top of the foot, or where their shoelaces are. As you extend the leg, you are leaning slightly to the side while keeping your abs tight and squeezing your glute muscles of the kicking leg. Bring the leg back into the bent leg position and then down into your basic stance. Make sure to turn your guard as you lean to the side and kick to protect yourself. As with the roundhouse kick, for the side kick, your non-kicking foot needs to be turned to a 45-degree angle. Once this is done, shift all your weight onto that leg. Lift the knee up with your foot flexed. The entire leg will internally rotate from the hip, causing your hips to tilt out. As you extend the leg, maintain the hip position and kick out through your heel. You should be able to draw a straight line from your heel to your hip. After you kick, bring the leg back into the same starting position and return it to the basic stance. Again, make sure to lean to the side slightly and turn your guard. The knee strike, or what I sometimes refer to as reach and pull, is similar to a regular knee lift. As you begin to lift your knee, you need to raise your arms upward like you are reaching for an attacker's chest or head. Next, Act as if you are grabbing the attacker and pulling him down to knee him. So as you bring your arms down towards your knee will rise upward. After this, return your leg to the fighting stance. When performing any of our kicks, it is best to perform them no higher than hip level. In the spirit of true self-defense and martial arts training, these kicks are best performed at hip level, where they are most effective. And again, we never fully extend the joints, so make sure not to lock out your knee during any of our kicks. You do not have to bring your leg up to hip level for any of the kicks either, if this is difficult for you to do or causes any pain. Simply perform the kick with the proper technique at a lower height. 2 other moves I may perform in class are what I call duck and bob and weave. The duck is just a modified squat from the basic stance. The guard must remain up to cover the head. As you begin to duck, keep the abdominals tight and perform a basic quarter squat as you bring your arms up slightly to protect your head. Then return to the basic fighting stance. The bob and weave is done from the same stance that you would start a squat in and is similar to the duck. It is a side-to-side motion with the feet staying in place. The guard is kept up while you duck down, swaying from side to side, like you were dodging a punch. A double bob and weave uses the same footwork as a double step touch, like this. We do a lot of squats in this class, so we need to talk about proper form for this. When performing a squat, it is important to keep your feet a little more than shoulder width apart with your toes turned out to the side slightly. This ensures that your knees will track over your toes and will prevent injury to your knees. It is also important to bend at the hips, extending your tailbone back, and keep your feet flat on the floor. Do not lean forward. Your head should be up, shoulders back, and abs tight. Try to use full range of motion when you squat, so that you are squatting all the way down until your quadriceps are parallel with the floor. If you have knee issues, or this is difficult for you, you can do a quarter squat or a half squat instead of using full range of motion. Okay, this concludes our introductory video on cardio kickboxing safety and technique. Enjoy the workouts and remember to be safe.